Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you that are seeing my video for the first time, you're welcome. My name is Juliet. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this trousers, this Ankara Palazzo pants. If this is something that you are interested in, kindly keep on watching. So first, I have my fabric here on fold. It is measuring, I used my tie measurement to fold this fabric. For the length, let's start with the length first of all. I'm using 42 inches as my full length. So I'm measuring 42 inches from the top of the fabric all the way down like so. My actual length, trouser length, is 40 inches. I added extra 2. So I used my ruler to connect this into a straight line. At the top also, I did not include the factory edge when I was measuring the length, so I wrote that out. So for the folding, like I said, I used my tie measurement. So tie divided by 2, it gave me 15 inches. I added extra 2 inches to that. So I have 17 inches width on fold right here. I have a little over 17 inches, but I'll mark that out. So next, I am marking my crotch measurement, which is my hip divided by 4, and that gave me 12 inches. So I marked 12 inches down like so, and then I am rolling out, as you can see. Next, I am going ahead to mark my hip measurement again divided by 4, but this time I added extra 2 inches. So 12 plus 2, that is 14 inches. I marked the same thing up here, and I am going to connect the 2 points like so. Now on this crotch line again, remember I said I used my tie measurement to fold, but I have a little more than that, so I just marked exactly the tie measurement there, which is 17 inches. I'm going to mark the same 17 inches down. That is all that we needed, but I folded a little bit extra. So using my ruler now, I went ahead to connect. So if I had folded exactly 17 inches, I would not have to do this step. Next, now I'm going to go ahead and curve that part using my curved ruler like so. And in this corner I had about 1.025. Next, at the top I came down by half inch. I'm going to connect to the slant, connecting the slant all the way to the side like so, and then I'll also come in by half inch on that point and connect it back to the crotch curve. So after doing this now, the next thing is to cut. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut the front piece, but I'm not going to cut that slant we came in by, because we'll be using the front piece to cut the back piece first before I can trim that off. So this is it for the front for now. Next we're going to cut out the back piece. So here is my back piece. I'm going to roll out a line at the top again. We're not going to include that edge. So starting from there, I marked 1 inch down. The back piece is always longer than the front piece because of the butt. So in this case, I am extending it by 1 inch. So I drew out that 1 inch, and then I'm going to place my front piece on that 1 inch point. Remember that I slanted the front on the crotch side, so I'm making sure that the side seam is sitting on that line exactly, and then there's a bit of space. So now we have 1.5 inches extra for the back piece. On this crotch line, I'm going to go ahead now and add 2.5 inches. I will extend it by 2.5 inches for the back. Then I'm going to mark my hip length, which is 9 inches, and then from there I will extend the back piece by 2 inches. Then I'll go ahead and curve. Then for the waist side, you can also extend it by 2 inches. but in this case I did not, but you can extend it by 2 inches. That also works. I just like doing it this way, which also works. But if you want, you can equally extend the waist too by 2 inches, the same way you did for the hip measurement. Now for the rest of the back piece, I'm going to extend it by 2 inches all the way down, and then I will use my ruler and connect all the pieces together. Now at the top, the next thing now that I am supposed to have done that I forgot to do was to add extra 1 inch to the back piece for zipper allowance, which I did not. But I will advise that if you're trying this out, you should add extra 1 inch or at most 0.75 before cutting off the back crotch side. So what I have to cut now, and also the length, and this is it for the front and the back. I'll also open up the pieces so that we have to see that we're cutting on fold. So after cutting them into two, I went out to fold and then notch so that I get the center. This notch is going to be useful later on. After that, I went on to fix my pocket. So this is my pocket piece. It's measuring 13 inches wide and 13 inches long, so 13 by 13, and I have two of those pieces because we have two pockets. So this is the front leg. Now I'm going to place it right sides together with the pocket. So on the side seam I place the pocket and the trouser piece right sides together. I'm going to measure 7 inches down like so, and then measure half inch in. I'll come up and measure half inch in again, and then connect it like so. So now we have like a tiny L shape. We are going to go sew it that way, but first I will use my pin to hold it like so. So after sewing, I'm going to notch in the corner like so, after which I will turn it back to the wrong side, and then I will iron it smoothly, take it back to the machine, and also top stitch. After that, I'll fold it back like this and then close the lower part, and also use my pins to hold the sides and the top together for the meantime. So after sewing the pockets, this is what we have. This is what it's looking like. So because of that slant, it's peeping out, so I'm going to just trim it off, and we'll repeat the same thing for the second front piece. Next, we're going to go back and sew the crotch point like so, using half inch on the front part, and then on the back piece also we're going to sew the crotch. Now if we had left extra for the zip allowance, it would have been better, but in this case we didn't, so I'm going to still mark half inch like so, but then I'll measure 9 inches down and then continue. So what we are going to do is sew from the top and stop at that 9-inch back stitch, and then sew loosely all the way up again. So from that 9 inches up, a zipper is going to sit there. So because I did not cut out that slant in front, I just sewed across it as though it is not there. So for the back, this is it, a back stitch, and then sew loosely all the way to the top. Now the next thing, we're going to open this apart now and iron it smoothly. But because I did not have light at the time, I decided to use my scissors to iron it. Nepa will warn you, but don't panic. I did the same thing on the other side. So this is going to help form a crease similar to what the iron would have done for me. And then I'll go ahead and take out the stitches up to the point where we backstitched. And then using my zipper foot, we are going to install the zipper to the back piece. I have a detailed video on how to use this zipper foot and how to attach a zipper of this kind. So if you're interested, I will link it somewhere on the screen and also in the description box below. So do check it out. So after attaching the zipper, this is what we have. Next, now we are going to go back and sew the front and the back pieces together. We're not going to cut out the remaining part of the zipper yet. So placing the front and the back pieces together, we are going to go sew the sides using 1/2 inch, making sure that we do not sew on top of the pocket opening, but we are sewing very close to it. That is why I will still be using that zipper foot so that it sews as close to that pocket opening as possible. After which we are going to also sew the inseam like so all the way down, and then hem the lower part. For the lower part, I'm hemming it with just very little, 1/4 inch, and then another quarter, and that's it. So here I'm sewing again using the zipper fold. When I get to where the pocket stop, I'll back stitch and then continue sewing all the way down. The goal is to sew right next to that pocket so that if you're wearing it, it's almost, if not for the top stitch, it's as good as hidden except you put your hand in. So this is our pocket, this is the side seam, and this is where the pocket is. It's sitting right on the side seam. You can barely see it except that there's a little top stitch in there. If not, you hardly notice a pocket on that side seam. That's this the goal. So next, now we are going to arrange the waist part so we can fix the band. Now you know that we used our hip measurement on the waist, so there's excess. We are going to pleat now so that it gets back to the actual waist measurement that I am working with. So remember that notch I did at the beginning. I am pleating from that notch and I'm making sure that my pleat is facing the side seam. I'll do the same thing on this side. Fold it a little and then measure so that we have quarter of the waist measurement. I'll do the same thing on the back, and then after everything I will measure round from the center back all the way back to the center back to be sure that what I have is exactly my waist measurement. So now that I have my waist measurement, we are now going to cut out the band. So my band is going to be 42 inches. My waist measurement is 40 inches, so I marked 42 inches. We are going to use 1 inch to turn it, and then the remaining 1 inch is going to overlap for the button. So I marked 42 inches and I'm going to cut that out. We're also going to add interfacing on this band. You can use gum stay. I used SD. The width of this band is, at the end of the day, is going to be 2.5 inches, but for now it's a little more than that. So after ironing the ST, I folded in half inch on one side like so, and then I folded again with another half inch extended, so we have 2.5 inches width of the band. We're going to go fold it over like so, and then sew it down using half inch, fold again on this side and sew using half inch. After that, we're going to attach it to the waist of the trouser, starting from the wrong side. I'll place this edge at the beginning like so, wrong side, so that by the time we are done, we'll finish it on the right side. So to this end is going to extend just like I said, and now we can go ahead and cut out the excess zip. So now, to make this sit firm enough, I'm going to be adding elastic to the sides of this pant. This is the part that is extending, as you can see. So I'm going to add elastic. This is optional, but I would like to do that. So I will just, from the side seam, I measured 5 inches on both sides, 5 inches on from the side seam towards the back and then towards the front again, and then I made a mark. So I'm going to add an elastic in that point, a 1 inch wide elastic on that point. So I'll do the same thing on this other side too, 5 inch in, 5 inch out, making it 10. Or you can just do from that point to that point. So my elastic now is 6 inches. I'm going to pin it like so, and then pin it again. Take it back to the sewing machine and sew tightly on those two ends. After that, this is what we have. We're going to now go back and finish the waistband. Cover it over like so, pushing the raw edges in, and we're going to go stitch it down all the way. But when we get to the part where the elastic is, we have to pull it completely, like stretch it out completely before sewing. You can also pin this part before you sew. For me, I love to pin, so I pinned it first before I was sewing it. It's going to make it a lot easier. But if you can do it without pinning it, it's also fine. After that, I went ahead to add a button and also buttonhole, and this pant is ready. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and then leave a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.